Johnny has done a complete 180. I think for most of us, we really like Johnny and his blank stare when the season first started. But at this point, like, Jack Skellington can go on somewhere else. I mean, that's how I see him now. You Jack Skellington, Nightmare Before Christmas. Hey, what's going on, Scatterbrains? Thank you for coming back to another late episode of Scatter Brilliancy. My name is Travis, and today I am doing a late review for Married at First Sight season 13. Yeah, season 13, episode 13. 213. So it was another episode that to me was kind of... I have never watched Unfiltered, but I feel like this is what Unfiltered feels like, because it was just a lot of one-on-ones. So I really don't have a lot for some people. Others, of course, we have more. We're going to go through this, and y'all can jump down in the comments and tell me what you think. Every person met with either Pastor Cal or Dr. Cheerwine. Kidding. Dr. Pepper. And this wasn't the halfway point, because I think they have like 2 weeks left until decision day. Maybe it's 3 weeks. I don't know. But we'll start with Girla. Don't have a lot for them, but some takeaways. He talked to Pastor Cal. Yeah, okay. And one thing that I think Pastor Cal and Dr. Cheerwine did is they asked them, what are your unanswered questions, or what questions do you need to ask your spouse? And for Gil, one of his questions, the question was, what would make you say no on decision day? And Gil was just saying that if she continues to be a Debbie Downer, or the negativity, the tantrums, it's just too much for him. Now, when it goes to Mirla, now let's say this. Mirla was lit, y'all. Mirla had been out drinking martinis prior to meeting with Dr. Cheerwine. And I gotta tell y'all, I don't think I've laughed this much during an episode of Married at First Sight as I did during just this one little part. Give me drunk Princess Mirla every week. Give me that every week. It was so much fun watching drunk Mirla. So her little interview before she went in with Dr. Cheerwine, like, you could tell before it was even known to us that she had been drinking, you could tell she was on something, because just like her mannerisms, the way she was talking, I was like, she's lit. And then, we found out she'd been out drinking martinis. And then she got with Dr. Cheerwine, and Dr. Cheerwine said, so I know you've been out partying with friends. It's like they set her up, because it's like, you knew, I guess at some point, somebody had to schedule when this meet was going to take place. Why would you go out and drink that much knowing you had to be on camera and meet with the expert? But I loved it. So one of the questions that she says she needs to ask Gil is, what do you need from me? But drunk Mirla is going on and on about how much she is happy with Gil, how much she got what she wanted and more, all that good stuff. And she's surprised, like, she cries, and then we get like this poorly placed voiceover from Dr. Cheerwine. They meet up after their separate meetings, which is what every couple does. And she's clearly still drunk, and they've got the drunk music. Like, you can always kind of tell how a scene is supposed to be on the show with how they score it, like how the music selection for that particular scene. And they had the drunk, like, boom, 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 while she was walking in, like, so it was obvious that she was still drunk. And Gil looked like he knew she was drunk, but he was trying to do his best to keep his composure. So if you haven't watched the episode, that's worth watching. I rarely say anything is worth watching from the show, but it is worth watching Mirla and Gil section from Wednesday night. But when they talk, also last thing, and was it me, or was Mirla looking at Gil like she wanted to, like she was ready to get up in them drawers? That's how Mirla was looking at Gil, because she was doing all this stuff with her tongue. I ain't about to do it on camera, but she was doing all this stuff with her tongue, like trying to send signals like, once we shut these cameras off, it's me and you, Gilbert. That's like the vibe she was giving. I'm pretty sure once them cameras cut off and they took their mics off, they did some nasty stuff. But the questions were, what can he do to be a buffer when she gets in those moods? And she says what he already does, which is make her laugh. And for her, it's what can she do better? And he said, not get in the moods to be funny, but he said just be more considerate of how it affects other people. And that's all I got for them. We'll skip down to Brett and Ryan. I did not take a lot of notes for them. I think I kind of started checking out because they were kind of toward the end of the episode. When one of them talks to Cal, I believe it was, no, she talked to Cal, he talked to Dr. Chirwan. When she talked to Cal, he was very clear that there was no intimate communication between the two of them, and his suggestion to Brett was to ask, what did he think his wife would have been, and when did he give up on their marriage? When Ryan has his sit down, they talk about when did they feel like things got off track, and he says when they had their sit down with Dr. Viviana. But he tells her that he's going to put forth more effort, but none of us believe that at all. They meet up afterwards. I don't write down anything about what they talked about when they meet because it's just obvious that they're both going through the motions. Like neither one of them, I don't need to know what the decision date is for them because it's going to be we're not going to stay married. That is completely obvious. They don't seem to have any ounce of chemistry or any ounce of, ooh, I want to be with you. You know what I mean? I think Brett has really tried to do her best to make this work, but Ryan just can't find it within himself to commit that much to Brett. So they're not going to be together. Like it would be a miracle if they decided to stay married, but I have not seen not one thing to make me feel like they should stay married. For the sake of the show, she sits down with his sister and her bad makeup to get more information on what she can do, but it's completely pointless. We can move on to Rose. When one of them talks to Dr. Pepper, she talks about his controlling nature and the need for them to build trust so that she doesn't get the feeling that she had when he did his little blow up thing. When he talks to Pastor Cal, wait, I had that backwards. He talked to Dr. Pepper. She talked to Pastor Cal. When she talked to Pastor Cal, she says that he is the man for her. You know, Rachel is really into Jose, short Jose, I should say. And she just needs to ask about the whole being locked out thing. But she says if it ever happens again that she'll be out. Now, when he talks to Dr. Pepper, it looked like this. That's how they had the camera. They was wrong when they was showing short Jose. They show Jose sitting just like this talking to Dr. Pepper. All you could see was the top of his head. They wrong for that. I'm kidding. They didn't do that. They didn't do that. But wouldn't it have been funny if that's how the camera was positioned? But yeah, moving on. They talk about his triggers. He talks something about seeing his parents divorce, which really didn't make any sense to me about how that was a trigger for him. More than anything, we all know it was just the ego strike. He was upset that she called him Johnny and, you know, he's your Jose. You don't call me by anybody else's name. I haven't done that in a couple weeks. But she says at the end of the day, she wants to be Short Jose's wife for whatever reason. Great for them. All right, who we at next? We'll go to Zach and Michaela. Zakayla. Got a lot for them, I think. Yeah, them and Bao. Got the most notes for them tonight. All right, so let's talk. For Michaela, she sits down with Pastor Cal. And the question that he thinks Michaela should ask Zach is, what was his picture of marriage? What does that look like? They talk about being Zach's source of happiness, and I think Michaela initially thought that she should not have any contribution into his happiness, which I could kind of understand where she was coming from, but I understood a lot more where Pastor Cal was coming from, that no, you're not going to be the sole source of his happiness, but as his spouse, you should be adding to that, you know, and I agree with that. And he asked her, do you want it more than you don't want it? And I don't think we ever heard her answer, because then it cut and it went to Zach and his taco meat talking to Dr. Chirwan. More than anything, Zach and his taco meat are just, I'm gonna start calling him that probably, because I feel like we always see his taco meat right here. So that might be his name for the rest of the season. But Zach and his taco meat are just confused. And what are the answers? You need to say yes, keep up the good track that they're on, and, you know, Dr. Chirwan is just giving him advice. And at one point, Zach and his taco meat start getting sad because he's reflecting on how much of a perfectionist he is, which I can completely identify with. Now, I'm not that extreme, but I can identify with picturing things being a certain kind of way, wanting them to be a certain kind of way, and then being disappointed when they're not. And it really is, it's a good and bad trait to have, because it's good because it'll push you to do like your best and make you strive, you know, strive for greatness. But it's also like you're striving for this unattainable level of perfection that just doesn't exist. So that's the downfall of being a perfectionist. And so he's getting emotional again, and just talks about how he feels like nothing that he's done in life has ever been good enough, and he always puts that on other people. So it was good that Zach and his taco meat were able to identify that, because once you can identify it, you can work on it. After they met, she went ahead and asked him what did marriage look like. He said marriage for him was like being in the house with his wife with a bunch of kids running around, and knowing that they had built something together. And for her picture of marriage was that they were romantic, that it would be romantic, and that they would be partners. Of course, people said a whole lot more stuff in this episode, which I know I'm not going through all those minor details. When they talk about the goals that they want to, you know, achieve within their marriage, they want to continue to get to know each other. She says that she wishes she could shake the guard and hesitation that she has, because clearly ever since, I guess, you know, their last blow-ups or whatever, Michaela has been feeling away. I think they both went into it like unicorns and rainbows and ponies and all that kind of stuff. And as these real moments started happening, it started making them question what they had really gotten themselves into, and if they could really trust the other person with their heart, which I completely understand. So, you know, it looked like it's easier for Zach and his taco meat to shake that feeling and try to put his best foot forward, but for Michaela, it's not that easy. She says that she has an overwhelming sense that he believes, I said that he believes that he doesn't believe this is going to be a long-term thing. I wrote that wrong, but what she was saying was that she does not believe that Zach and his taco meat believe in his heart that they are going to make it long term, which I can agree. I don't think either one of them see it making, you know, being a long term thing, and I don't see either one of them agreeing to stay married on decision day at this point, especially after the preview for next week. That's when like things gonna get good, but I would not be surprised if they hold that crazy scene to the end of the episode next week. But I don't see them making it either. How am I doing on time? I'm still good. And then so I'm going to come back to them later, because I think it might make more sense in the timeline of everything. All right, and we're going to go to Bonnie next, Johnny and Bao. The episode started off early with Johnny going to shoot pool with Ryan, you know, the two guys who are just completely not into their wives at this point and who really don't seem to be putting forth any kind of effort. Bao, apparently after, I guess, the last heart-to-heart they may have had, she tried to oblige Johnny and his blank stare by, you know, having dates and trying to, you know, just do things for him to get him to where he says he needs to be. And for Johnny and his blank stare, it's just not enough. And I call him Johnny his blank stare because that's all he does, seems like. It's just like when she's talking to him, he doesn't really seem like he's paying attention, and he's just always staring at the floor. It's just, I mean, if he's not like nervous laughing, he's just staring, just. So I don't, but all right, I'm gonna skip through some of this because it's not important. He goes and talks to Bao. He says he doesn't feel anything for the physical stuff. He asked to take out. He asked them. He wanted to stop the physical stuff that they were doing. Like, he don't want them to kiss no more. He don't want them to do it no more, because I guess he feels like this is gonna help them progress. Johnny's thing is he doesn't feel like they have trust, a friendship, or communication. That's how he feels now. I don't know what he was feeling those other times, you know, but he, as of right now, he doesn't feel like they have any of that kind of stuff. But she says she thinks Johnny's just not happy because he doesn't want to be, and I would agree with Bao. Johnny is, I don't know what Johnny has done a complete 180. I think for most of us, we really like Johnny and his blank stare when the season first started. But at this point, like, Jack Skellington can go on somewhere else. I mean, that's how I see him now. You Jack Skellington, Nightmare Before Christmas. I mean, that might be rude. I probably shouldn't call him Jack Skellington. He's skinny though. Like, he was laying in bed at one point and all you could see was his collarbone. Like, it's Jack Skellington, man. Like, this is Halloween. This is Halloween. Halloween, 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 Halloween. Okay, let me get back on track. In this town we call home, everyone dance to the pumpkin song. Halloween. Okay, y'all didn't come for a concert. Let me just stay on track. I don't know why I'm feeling so silly right now. All right, yeah, he don't feel nothing. He don't like Val. Okay, whatever. All right, we're going to move on to them talking to the experts. So Pastor Cal talks to her. She's feeling checked out before they talk. Of course, you know, Bao was feeling defeated because it seems like Bao is actually making a lot of effort to do things. And of course, Jack Skellington is not. She feels like Johnny wasn't ready for marriage, and I would agree. And she says she thinks Johnny is 80% out. His decision is already made, and she feels like she just has a husband on paper. And that's a deep statement to make, to say that you feel like you only have a husband on paper. But I mean, given what we're seeing, yeah, and that's the other thing. I have to always keep in mind that this show is edited a certain kind of way, and you got to have a villain. You know what I mean? The show wouldn't be what it is without somebody, one of the spouses, looking bad. So I try to keep in the back of my mind, maybe this is just what they're showing us, and maybe Johnny isn't that bad, but I think Jack Skellington might just be that bad. All right, so let's talk about what they talk about briefly. He tells Bao to ask Johnny if he felt he was ready. That was the question I wrote down as one of the things that Bao needed to ask him. Now, when Johnny talks to Dr. Chirwan, he says the whole thing about trust, communication, and no friendship being a problem. And that's all I got for them. They meet afterwards. He says he's sorry, but then he like kind of contradicts his apology and everything he said, because the conversation just doesn't go well. Johnny seemed like he might be a tad bit spoiled because he didn't get what he wanted. I don't think the conversation went in the direction that he wanted to. So he just got up out the bed. Like, he hit one of those, I gotta take a minute. And he's in the mirror just about to take his head off and switch it out and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, he comes back to try to finish the conversation, and Bao is just like, really, Jack? Like, come on, Jack, come back to bed so we can finish this for the cameras. Well, I'm just skipping over all my notes. She asked about being committed and not running away. He says that he hasn't, and I'm like, but you have. She brings up the pattern of leaving. She doesn't want to be talked to the way that he's been talking to her, which I feel is cool. Ask if you're ready for marriage. And then Jack Skellington says they don't have chemistry. They haven't had chemistry since the first time way back in college days. And he says that he wasn't attracted to her. And had he been attracted to her, there would have been a second date. And to me, it's almost like, are you just like trying to make her feel bad on purpose? Like, I think there's a way to be honest with people without like hurting their feelings, Jack. Like, you've been hanging out with Oogie Boogie a little bit too much, okay? So Johnny is just mean. You know, Johnny is mean, like, for real. And I don't really understand why. And then the last question is, where do we go from here? So the couples all get together and they play volleyball. You know, it's cute or whatever. When they show up, Bao isn't there. But then she shows up in a cheerleading costume. And I felt like in the moment that she showed up in that cheerleading costume, because, you know, Jack Skellington doesn't want her to be like a child. I felt like he looked at her and was like, dang, why she got to come in here acting like a child? Like, I felt like he was like, dang, she out here being childish again. But then he probably was like, but it's a cheerleader costume. This turns me on because, you know, I want her to appease me and all my fantasies and all that kind of stuff, and, you know, all of that. But nothing really happened in regards to the volleyball thing. You know, people got in their own little groups and they talked about the stuff that had happened with the experts. We're not going through all of that. So after volleyball, we circle back to Michaela. Let me go back up to my notes. All right, they get back home, and apparently, because this is all filmed on the diary cam, apparently at some point they had a conversation about like, if decision day was today, what would your answer be? And they both said, you know, that their answers would be no. Because of that, Michaela felt like, well then, you know, we should just sleep in separate beds. And Zach and his taco meat were very confused, and I completely agree with Zach's confusion. Because to me, if we're trying to work on something, space and time, unless it's been like a major blow up or something, is not gonna help. If we kind of in our hearts want the marriage to work, we need to stay together and work through the issues. So I completely understood where Zach and his taco meat were coming from. So they're arguing about, you know, what the answers might be, and Zach puts down his diary camera, Michaela picks up hers, and she, you know, continues to talk, and it just doesn't end well. Zach and his taco meat end up taking himself and his taco meat back to his regular place. Oh, my battery about to die. All right, so let's make this quick. So he has a Zoom meeting with his brothers. He tries to go over what happened, and he's stuttering the whole time, talking about what happened. And you know, the straw that's about to break the camel's back is that Michaela took all the seasonings out the house. She done took the cumin, she done took the thyme, she took everything out. And I know it's not coming, y'all, it's cumin, but she took everything. It was real passive aggressive, and that's really, I think, how Michaela is. It's real passive aggressive. All right, my battery's about to die, so I'm wrapping this up real quick. Thank y'all so much for watching. Make sure you rate, comment, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Buy my wrapping paper. We already over 60% sold out. Link is in the description. All right, y'all take it easy. Peace.